Alright, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Vibing with Andwele. Let me just put this one do not disturb because I don't want people them. I disturbed the video. Alright. So I'm in my car, as you can see. Using my front camera. Hopefully the quality is good enough. So I got this request a few weeks back, but haven't gotten the chance to do so. So just on the road doing some errands, I'm saying, no, let me just take a few minutes and just record the video. As you might hear, I'm a bit nasal because I'm recovering from a cold, and yeah. Anyways, so I'll be talking about getting a driver's license in the US, specifically South Carolina. So if you're interested in that, then just keep on watching. Alright, so getting a driver's license in the US, I think each state has somewhat, they differ, right? Because I was talking to someone from another state, and they had to do like medical and them something there, and don't have to do that in South Carolina. So all the information that I will be giving will be specifically for South Carolina, but I think there are some similarities and there might be some differences. Yeah. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is to get the documents together, right? As per usual. So get the documents together. I'll talk about those documents in a few. Just like in Jamaica, the procedure is somewhat similar in Jamaica, but in my opinion, I think, I think it is much easier. Oh God, you see the people in the background? Yeah, I'm parked. I think it's much easier to get the license here in the US. It was not, how Jamaica is, right?
Tax office.
Just tax office alone, that's a couple hours or even a day out of your busy schedule you have to take. You have to make sure so you go early, set up in a long line, and we know how it is. And let's not talk about the depot. Having to go to tax office, going to the depot, all back and forth different places. It's not. It's much easier here. Alright. So the first thing that you have to do is to do the written test. So in Jamaica, when I was getting my license, it was a paper and you circle the answers. This is the US, so they have computers. It's an online test. So and everything that is done at the DMV, what does DMV mean again? Department of Motor Vehicles. So I've never been, since I'm here in the US, I think I know where the tax office is. I think I do. I'm not sure, but I've never been to the tax office, right? They don't have any need. So most things that I've done so far, it's done at the DMV, right? Which is much easier. Payment, if you want to make payment, you don't have to say you have to go, in Jamaica, to make a payment, you have to go to the tax office and then you have to go to the depot. Everything is done at the same place, which is so handy, right? So you do the written test at the DMV, and it costs about $2 to do the test. You can do the test once per day. So if you fail, then you can go back in 24 hours, pay the money again and do it. So it's on the computer, and the good thing about it is that there is a app. Well, South Carolina has an app. I don't know if it's the DMV that made it, but the questions are similar to the ones, or maybe the same as the ones that come on the test. And they, once you pay for the full version, I think it was about $6 or something, then you can do practice tests and so forth. So it's 30 questions on the test, and once you get 80%, so that's 24 questions correct, then you pass the test. All right, it's not timed and you can skip, as you have unlimited skipping. So if you're not sure about a question, I would suggest skip it and then do the ones that you're sure about. Some of the, it's multiple choice. You know that multiple choice can be difficult at times. Some of the the options will be somewhat similar and so forth. So take your time. It's not timed. Take your time and just do it best as you can. So before you go to do the road test, ensure that you read the road code book, and I think they have the hard copy. Don't know where you can get that, but I just googled it, found it online. Don't know the PDF, and I read through it because, you know, when I just came, I was somewhat confident, or too confident, seeing that I had a license in Jamaica. I was saying that should be easy, but yeah, there are a whole lot more rules here in the US, a whole lot more symbols that I've never seen in Jamaica. You know, in Jamaica you only have white line. So straight white line means that you cannot overtake, and a broken white line means that you can overtake, right? But you have yellow here and you have white. So yeah, white is, whenever you see white, that means that it's a one-way road. As I go, yeah, white means it's a one-way road. But when you see yellow is what tells you that it's a two-way traffic, and broken yellow means you can overtake, straight yellow means you cannot overtake. So that was different. There are other rules when it comes on to school bus, because you know that you have school bus here. There are a whole lot of extra rules that we don't have in Jamaica, because we don't have these big roads and tolls and freeways. All right, so once it is that you have completed the road test, then you know you would go back to the counter and they will collect all of your papers. So the documents that you will need are, so you're going to need a permit if you didn't have a driver's license before, and again, this is for persons coming from specifically Jamaica, right? So if you did not have a driver's license before, you would have to apply for a permit. I'm not really so sure about the procedure for that, right? So I had my driver's license, so I didn't need a permit. The next thing that you need is proof of address, and this can be anything, any letter. Again, as I said in a previous video, we get letters daily or very frequently, so that's not really an issue. So proof of address, which is any letter with your name and your address. An employment letter from, you know, if you're a teacher, then from the district, you would need to request that from the school district. So get that letter. You also need to bring your DS 2019 as well as your I-94. And I don't remember if I needed both of them, but I know that I had all of them just in case, and I just gave them all of the papers, right? And you need your passport, your social security number, and you also need your Jamaican driver's license if you have one. So yeah, so those were all of the documents that you needed. My thing was a bit different because before I did the driver's license, I actually applied for a state license because I wanted to do some stuff, and I didn't, you know, and I wasn't so confident in myself that I was going to pass as yet, and I didn't want to rush it. So in the interim, I went ahead and I applied for a state license. Same documents were needed, so I had my state license before. So it's just a state ID, sorry. So state ID, it's something like, it's not a driver's license, but it's a form of identification, because here in the US you need identification. Is it a student? One of my student? You need identification for most things. You want to purchase a phone, and if you want to travel to another state, and so forth. So state ID is somewhat important. So I had looked about that before. A couple months later, I went ahead and I did the driver's license. So yeah, anyway, so you would give them the documents, and they do everything there. So there's some of the so in the DMV there are about 10 different counters, 10 different persons well, all of them don't have persons there, but 10 different areas that counters that you can go to, and some of them have the ones that deal with like driver's license and so forth. They have the eye machine where you just wipe it off and then look into it, and you know, they would ask you to read a line. So they do all of that. So in Jamaica, I had to go do medical and do that differently. I had to go and get JP to sign picture and all of them something there. Whole run up and down. It wasn't because I didn't pay anybody to, you know, to do that. So I did it by myself. So it was exhausting for me, but all of that was done in the DMV. So again, if you do not have a permit, if you do not have a driver's license, Jamaican driver's license, then you need to get a permit so that you can drive. If you want to use the DMV's vehicle, then you have to have a permit. Otherwise, you have to get a vehicle for yourself. So yeah, I borrowed one of my friend's vehicle. Ensure if you're borrowing somebody's vehicle, you need to ensure that you bring with you the insurance paper as well as the registration paper. And you need to ensure that everything is working. I remember I had made an appointment with one friend, and when I go there, the first thing that they do is that they test the vehicle. The horn wasn't working, and I didn't even remember that the horn wasn't working, so I had to go home and reschedule, get another vehicle. So you have to ensure that everything is working, ensure that your indicators are working, ensure that your horn is working, ensure that all of your lights, everything working on the vehicle, or they're not going to use it to do the road test. So once it is that you know everything is working, you have the papers, they will take the papers, fill out what they need to fill out. The examiner will come, and you know, just like any other road test, they will tell you what they're going to do and tell you where to go. So it's the same route. So if you know somebody who has done the road test, they can maybe bring you on the route. I didn't do that. It was my first time. I went on the route, followed the instructions. The examiner will ask questions on the road, especially about speed limit signs. So for me, I was so nervous. I was driving very slow. So the normal speed limit for most of the roads here is like 45, 55 on like the highway. And I was driving very slow. I was driving like a 30, 35. And I think that was the main reason why she kept on asking me what was that sign. I'm so nervous because I have so much sign. When I noticed the sign them and all of them, why am I talking about it? I wasn't really noticing the signs. But she was mainly she wanted me to look at the speed limit sign so that I could I guess drive at the right speed. So yeah, she asked me about signs. Then when I reach a particular, I know the route is not going to be a busy route. It's going to be yeah, it wasn't a really busy route, and like a old road. I was asked to pull over, so you know you have to do the proper procedure to pull over. Ensure that you look in your mirrors, look in both mirrors, yes, and even while you're driving, ensure that you're looking in the mirrors. Use the indicator and so forth. Turn on the indicator. This is not a driving lesson, but turn on the indicator, indicate that you're going to pull over on the right, and yeah, pull over. Then you know I was asked to switch off the car as if I'm going to leave the vehicle. So you know you put your car in a park, pull up your handbrake, turn off the ignition, and all of them something there, yeah. And they want to ensure that you can do that properly. Then they'll ask you to start up the vehicle, go back on the road. Then she asked me to reverse. So you know it's not about using backup camera or using the side mirrors. You should use the side mirrors, but they want you to turn around and look and ensure that you're backing up properly. You shouldn't be all over the place. Back up or reverse, properly to a distance. You will tell you to stop. And then what did we do after that? Yeah, we turned around. We did a 3-point turn. So that's another thing that you have to do properly. So indicate that you're going to turn off the road, indicate right, come off the road, ensure that the road is clear. So look over your left shoulder, ensure that there's no vehicle coming. Look at your mirrors and all of that. That indicate, ensure that you don't come off the road, because once you come off the road, then you're going to lose points. So each thing that you're doing correctly, you lose about 5 points. And if you go below a particular score, then you're going to fail the driving. You're going to fail the test. So do the 3-point turn, and we headed back to the DMV. When you reach at the DMV, then the final thing that you'll do is to do the parallel parking. And you have to ensure that, again, you indicate, set up yourself past the point, indicate that you're going to go in, indicate right, reverse, turn your lock, reverse in to a particular level, then boom, boom, boom. Ensure that you're not too close to the curb. It should be a couple meters. I don't remember the meters. I'll try to find it and put it somewhere on the screen. And yeah, turn off your vehicle and so forth. Then they're going to ask you to now come out of that space. One thing I didn't remember to do a last mark for this was I didn't indicate. But it's so stressed out, because for the few years that I've been driving, I think I've maybe parallel parked maybe about 5 times, right? Because when I was driving, if me see, I'm gonna try and find the easiest spot. I'm not gonna stress out myself, especially, being in the city area. If I go stress out myself, I go quickly parallel park and so forth. So I didn't do it much. So I was somewhat nervous. So me just come out. I put a turn on my left indicator to indicate that I was coming out of the spot, so that I lost marks for that. But everything else was okay. And I think the other issue that I had was I was driving too slow. She said, I was driving too slow. I don't know if I lost marks for that. But yeah, I did pass. So I passed. It wasn't that difficult. Once it is that you practice and you do what you're supposed to do. Look, as a normal driver, there are certain things that we a seasoned driver don't stop doing, but it doesn't matter. Even if you're seasoned or not, for the road test, you need to ensure that you do all of those stuff. So look over your shoulders, use your mirrors, look in your mirrors every minute, turn your head, look like you're looking, look all of your mirrors them, and all of your points, ensure that you have all the indicator and so forth. Yeah. And once it is that you pass it, then that same person is going to go back into the DMV. They'll complete the paperwork to say that you pass and do what they need to do, and then you take your ID photo at the same time, and they'll give you a temporary driver's license, which is a piece of paper with the South Carolina seal that can be used. Some places it cannot be used everywhere. For example, if you want to buy a phone, the places that use the application will require the back and the front of the license, so the paper will not necessarily work. But yeah, you have that to show you can drive. If police or anybody pull you over, then you can show them the paper and it is valid as a license until you receive the actual license. So the license comes in your mail after about a month and a half. And yeah, so and that is the procedure for getting a driver's license. As I said, it is much simpler than in Jamaica. You don't have to, I think, in my opinion, getting a license in Jamaica, you have to set aside a couple of days to do that, because tax office alone is going to take maybe 1 day. If you have to go tax office 2 times, say a 2 day that. DMV, so where you put me, that's another whole day. And yeah, so this is the license. I'm gonna try to blur out some of my stuff. Ugly picture, but yeah. And it's valid for what? I think my case is different because, you know, seeing the type of I'm not a permanent resident. I'm not a permanent resident, so it expires in a few years. But yeah, I have my license. So it's nothing difficult. I would suggest that if you're still in Jamaica and you're planning to come on the program, I would suggest that you try to learn to drive from in Jamaica. Try to get the driver's license from in Jamaica, because you know you can actually use that driver's license. When you come up, you can drive with your Jamaican driver's license for a few months, and yeah, you would have that experience from Jamaica, so it would be much easier. You don't have to spend the money to be purchasing, paying someone to teach you to drive and so forth. So I hope this was helpful to you, and you know, I thank you all for your continuous support. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for some more of these videos. I'm out.